The Paragon of Man, Smoke Pit Fairy Tales Part 3, Chapter 14, Jeepers Creepers, Use Some Deodorant. I didn't sleep very long. The birds woke me up. I had one arm wrapped under Penelope. The other one, under her neck, was used as a pillow. I caressed her belly until she woke up enough to hike her butt up to my hips. She twisted her position around to where her nose was touching mine. Without opening her eyes, she smiled and said,
"What are you thinking about?"
I rubbed the outside of her thigh. Not much, just glad to be back.
How much is that?
I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, there's not much of it left.
Yeah, you're not wrong. We were silent for a moment before I asked, "So, Edward Thatch, huh?"
I like the name.
Her voice wasn't as sad as I expected it to be. I guessed that was a good thing. There wasn't much worth lamenting at that point. From what I understood, the kid was healthy and in good hands.
I gave him to Gladvine when they were evacuating.
Wanted him to be safe, so you sent him off with the Marines?
More or less. It got to a point where I didn't expect you to ever come home, but I never stopped hoping. Edward's safe with Gladvine, and I couldn't bear to let you come home to absolutely nothing.
I kissed her forehead and squeezed her in tight. I wasn't sure I'd never make it back either, or how long it'd take. Now it's like, where do we go now?
Well, we can't stay here.
I pulled back my head and looked at her. She opened her eyes and stared into the windows of my soul.
Hank, you just killed 50 people from the town in or around our house.
It was more like 45. Penelope gave me a few frustrated blinks.
And Thom said you let the guitarist go. Do you think he's not going to tell people when he gets back?
So you're saying I should have killed him too?
Either that or not killed any of them and just told me you were back and we could have avoided this mess.
No, I thought if I did that, they'd kill us and take our stuff. They were already talking about killing Thom.
Did you think of maybe letting them start, then after killing them, calling it self-defense?
My brain stopped working for about half of a second. No. Penelope raised her eyebrows with a smirk. All right. I started thinking of places to go and how to get there. Well, we have to get out of here fast then, right? If there's about to be a mob of angry villagers after us.
Yes, we should probably pack up the Jeep and leave.
Well, I mean, I know there's gas in it, but how far is that really going to take us?
There's places to get fuel, that's not a problem. They're few and far between, but some people have pumps and have made small refineries.
Huh. I wouldn't have figured that.
Actually, most of it's ethanol.
Well, I mean, I'm still impressed. I thought about the Jeep and then the GTO. We're probably not going to be able to take the goat then.
Why's that? Can't we have Thom or Ginny drive it?
Nah, it's best to just take the Jeep. If we get in a pinch, we can off-road with it, and if fuel's mostly ethanol, it'll kill the engine in the GTO. Penelope got herself up, sat on the bench, and readjusted her clothes.
That's unfortunate. I don't really want to leave her behind.
I put my dick back in my pants and made myself presentable. Yeah, me either, but we're more important than a car.
So where do we go then?
Well, we could go north of the mountains. I think that'd probably be best. There's a small Marine Corps base in the Sierra Nevada, and that'd be a good bet. Or we could go east and see if any of my family's still in Virginia.
Wasn't like there 4 Navy bases right around there?
I thought about how close my house was to Dam Neck in Oceania. Yeah, they're probably all dead. Or fled somewhere where we'd never find them. So, Bridgeport?
Is that the base you were talking about?
Yeah, provided it didn't get bombed, it should be easy to live. It's remote, there's infrastructure already, and we should be able to hunt and fish and maybe grow something. Penelope stood and patted her dress. I pulled her in for a kiss. Go get Ginny and start packing up whatever we can. I'll get Thom and the stuff from his house. I started walking back toward Thom's house. I thought about Doc. I wondered where he was. He could have been still floating out at sea. The current could have taken him anywhere. I was extremely fortunate to have gotten pushed north. Doc could be halfway to Antarctica or on a Pacific island for all I knew. Hell, he could be dead. Or at least as dead as I thought we could get. But even then, I was sure he'd wake up somewhere, either it be Frisco or Singapore. He'd probably make it up this way at some point. That was a if, not a when. I decided it was better to make sure Penelope was safe than it was to wait around for Doc to maybe show up. Doc will live. I walked around to the front of the Jeep. Faye was where I left her dry heaving. The pigs had eaten most of who I'd thrown in the pen. Hey, glad to see you're still kicking. She tried to scream something at me, but the gag wouldn't let her. Well, I'm gonna be needing the Jeep, and you're not coming with me. I couldn't tell if it was fear, misery, or pain that grew on her face. She'd been left out in the sun crying for a few hours without eyelids. I decided it didn't matter. I grabbed the axe I kept in the back of the Jeep, and instead of untying Faye, I hacked the axe into her elbows and knees. She writhed and squirmed on the ground. I was genuinely more frustrated with the blood on my Jeep than anything else I could have felt for Faye. I grabbed her by the belt loop and lobbed her into the pigsty. Her limbs followed shortly after. I started the Jeep and parked it up in front of the garage. I put up the soft top and Thom helped me put on the roof rack. Penelope and Ginny made a small pile of stuff to load. Most of it was packed in sea bags and ammo cans. I made sure the bulk of my guns and ammo were brought. A couple days worth of food was boxed up, as was a few photos, clothes, a couple of two-man tents, water, and jerry cans. Thom carried up a small crate with some piglets and chicks to breed and eat whenever we got to wherever we were ended up. We had a couple of packs strapped to the side of the Jeep with a little bit of everything in them in case we needed to cut and run from the Jeep. We all had at least one weapon on us. We all had pistols, and I decided to keep the M14 in the cab. Thom, Ginny, Penelope, and I stood outside of the house with the Jeep loaded down. We set a pile of logs in the living room and doused it with all the flammable liquids we could find. The sun was just beginning to fall under the mountains to the west. I lit a torch with my lighter and set fire to the living room. I walked back outside and watched the flames engulf the house. Thom stood stone-faced. Penelope's eyes shed tears, but she neither wept nor sobbed. Ginny handed me a manila envelope. What's this?
I don't know. I was told to give it to you. I kind of forgot about it until I went back through my stuff. My old boss, Eclair, gave it to me before he died a few years ago.
Hank was written in bold block letters on the front. I opened the envelope and slid out the contents. Yeah, what the fuck?
What?
Ginny asked, looking over my arm. It was a picture of the Fonz, De La Garza, Doc, and me standing in front of a Russian rook before we infiltrated Ilium. Eclair took this photo. I handed the picture to Ginny and started reading the accompanying letter.
Hank, ain't this fucked up? I hope you're doing well, or that you at least get this. But if you're reading this, I take it you didn't get whacked in Russia. I wish I could have said this all myself, but I've been living hard and my heart isn't going to keep pumping too much longer. The doctor said I could get a mechanical one, and a new liver and lungs too, but then I couldn't drink, fuck, or smoke again. What's the fun in that? I'm just gonna go out as it comes. Anyway, I didn't really think there'd be a way to make you believe any of this without the photo. Hang it up somewhere for me. I've kept it on a memory card I had in my camera for about 50 years until I could upload it to a computer that could handle the memory. I had that camera on me in Russia. When I got zapped in that thing in the lab in Ilium, things got weird. I got the shit burned out of me from electricity. I was in this weird fucking vortex. Everything went black except for the blue lightning striking me. And then I fell about 10 feet out of the sky and hit dirt. I had no idea where I was, but I was scared and my body hurt. I stalked around for a while trying to figure out where I was until I saw a street sign in Russian. I figured I was just shot outside of the city until I saw St. Petersburg with Soviet flags flying over the buildings. I stole someone's clothes, buried everything I had besides my camera, and hitchhiked to Italy. I got on a boat and came back to the States, forged my identity, and joined the Marines. Let me tell you, man, boot camp was a lot harder in 1966. I went to Vietnam with 1-7, came home and started a restaurant. I ain't done shit but cook, drink, and slay poons since then. Anyway, man, I just wanted to let you know that I'm alive, or am as I'm writing this. I'll leave it up to you if you want to tell Jenny or not. If you do, tell her I love her, and let her know that's why I hit on her so much at the restaurant. Semper Fi, brother. Richard Eclair.
I had no fucking idea what to think of that. I guess I should have taken it at face value, but it just was not registering in my mind. I handed the letter to Ginny. We should probably get going. Ginny read the letter with a growing look of shock and anxiety.
There's no way this is real, right?
I don't know how else that photo got in there or how that letter was written. Eclair took that picture a couple hours before I thought he died. Penelope and Thom gave us inquisitive looks, but didn't ask us anything. The house was completely engulfed in flames. We should probably go. I headed to the Jeep. We loaded up and I turned the key and switched on the lights. So we don't have a map. Anyone have any suggestions on which way to go? I was thinking west first, then north.
Whichever way we go, we should probably go now.
Thom buckled his seatbelt with a box of piglets and chickens on his lap. He pointed out the window to a large group of people with torches, axes, and bats. Yep. I pushed the Jeep into first gear and spun her around and sped past the crowd. Most of them jumped out of the way, but I clipped a few on the way down the street. I tried not to hit anyone head on. I didn't need to flip the Jeep and have them drag us out and string us up. We pushed north until we got to the base of Palomar Mountain. It was dark and getting cold. The Jeep didn't have the best insulation. The canvas top didn't protect us too much from the elements. We pulled off the road and turned into an orange grove. We pulled in a couple dozen meters and bedded down for the night. Thom and I pulled down the two-man tents and set them up by the Jeep. Thom and Ginny shared a tent. Penelope and I took the other. I kept the M14 in 1911 with me. The magazines were inserted, but there wasn't a round in the chamber. I didn't want to do anything on accident in my sleep. Penelope's single-action army rested on her side by the flap. We bedded down and I pulled the thick wool blanket over Penelope and myself and kissed her goodnight. When the morning came, we repacked our tents, shoved the blankets into their sea bags, and put them back on the rack. Ginny fished out some eggs and a skillet from the food crate while Thom built a fire. We picked oranges from the grove to eat with our breakfast. We took a few more to eat along the way. Thom and I smoked their pipes after breakfast.
So where'd you get that?
Scotland. I didn't feel the need to talk about Amelia specifically. I was a bit ashamed. We stayed there last winter before we sailed across the Atlantic.
That had to be a pain in the arse.
The last couple of years have been a pain in the ass, but Scotland wasn't actually too bad. We stayed there as long as we did because the sea was too rough to navigate in the winter.
Speaking of navigating, do we know where we're going?
Bridgeport?
Yeah, but do we know how to get there?
I mean, I know it's south of Tahoe and west of Carson City. All we really need is a map and we're set. Theoretically, it's only an 8 or 9 hour drive, but that's on the road knowing how to get there.
So what's the plan then?
Drive west to the edge of the desert and skirt the mountains north.
That's about the plan I had. I handed my pipe to Penelope, who took a long drag. We loaded up, put it out of the grove, and headed southeast. There wasn't a good road or trail to go over the mountain. We kept that heading until we found a highway running northwest around Palomar. We passed a few towns, but most were uninhabited. The few we saw with people didn't look like they had anything to offer us. We repeated about the same pattern most of the day, stopping every once in a while to fill the gas tank with the jerry cans and eat a little bit until we rolled out of the mountains to the desert. We weren't out in the sand for long before we hit water.
What's this?
I think it's the Salton Sea.
I tried to think of where we'd have been on a map. It doesn't look like we went north at all. I wasn't exactly disappointed, but I thought we had made more headway.
Well, we made it east. Now we can head north. Unless we can find a map.
We probably need to get gas sometime soon, too.
I turned left and drove up the coast. We went until we saw a statue of a cowboy in front of a building. I pulled in and got out. Through the door, we found a diner. It was quaint. It looked like it used to be a convenience store. The tile on the floors had marks where the shelves used to be. The walls were painted white with red trim on the windows. A few patrons sat at simple wooden tables. I noticed that they were all human women.
Hello.
A brunette woman in her 30s smiled at us.
How can I help you today?
She was plump, but not overweight. Her skin was a light tan, but it seemed like she'd be a rich dark coffee brown if the sun hadn't disappeared for the last year. She was wearing a dusty white t-shirt and jeans. Hey, good evening. We're passing through. I was wondering if you might be able to tell us where we could get gas and maybe a map.
How much gas are you going to want?
About 15 gallons.
That's going to run you about $200. You going to be able to pay for that?
I couldn't say I was shocked by how much it was going to cost, but I also realized at that moment that I didn't know what our money situation was.
Yes, we will be.
Works for me. Why don't you have a seat and we'll get that around to you.
The woman turned her head towards the door in the back.
Eunice!
A teenage girl in a brown blouse came to the room.
Yes?
Go run up to Lenny's and tell him we need 15 gallons of gasoline.
The woman looked back to us.
Gasoline, right? Sorry, but we can't get you diesel.
That works.
It's mostly ethanol.
It'll work. The woman turned back to Eunice.
Get moving.
After we sat down at one of the rickety wooden tables, she said,
My name's Hipsy. Can I get you some food?
What do you have?
I can cook you up pretty much anything with chicken or beef in it. We don't have much vegetables, though, but there's a bit of lettuce and tomato.
So, taco salads?
I can make you those.
We agreed, and Hipsy went to the back room. She brought us back some tea and then went to go cook. So, we can afford the gas? I asked Penelope.
Hank, we're fucking loaded. I didn't spend any more than I had to from the bar.
Okay. The food came back quick, and we scarfed it all down. None of us had eaten anything besides a few eggs and oranges that day. Hipsy took our plates and led us outside. A small group of women carried up jerry cans.
Want it in this Jeep?
Yes, ma'am. And then whatever you can into the cans in the back. She gave me a thumbs up, and the girls started fueling.
That and dinner is going to come up to $250.
Just a tick.
Penelope leaned into the cab and pulled out one of her old purses. She produced a number of gold coins and handed them to Hipsy.
You don't by chance also have a map?
No, ma'am, I do not. But where are you trying to go? I might could give you directions.
We're trying to get a little south of Lake Tahoe.
I could see the gears turning in Hipsy's head.
The quickest way used to be taking the 10 out of here and hooking up north around Apple Valley. But Riverside isn't there anymore, so unless you've got radiation suits, I wouldn't suggest going that way. I'd say your best bet would be head up towards Yucca and take Old Woman Springs north from there. After that, it's mostly desert until you get to the mountains. So even if the road is clogged, you should be able to manage until you get way up north.
Then we shall do that.
Penelope shook Hipsy's hand and we loaded up and headed out. We were only on the road for a minute before I asked, "Is it just me or was there no men there?"
Yeah, it's all chicks, and they all reek.
Well, I mean, they are out in the desert. They probably sweat a lot.
People sweat a lot in Ramona, too. None of them smelled that bad.
We putted around until we found Interstate 10, then shot west until the turn for Yucca Valley. There were a few cars abandoned on the side of the road, but nothing besides that and bits of trash were to be seen. Dust had settled on the side of the road from misuse. We didn't see another moving vehicle between the Salton Sea and Yucca Valley. We'd been driving for an hour before Thom leaned forward.
Hank, are there any other CDs in here, or are we listening to the same GNR album the whole trip?
It's the only CD, man, but if you have your phone, plug it into the aux port.
Hank, why would I still have my phone?
I don't know. Just an option.
Hey everybody, what's up? How you doing? I hope the answer to that question is, well. That was a chapter, huh? Yeah, alright, cool. Thanks for listening to, chapter 14 of, goddamn, what book is this? The Paragon of Man. This is the third book. Also, before you ask, yes, you will find out more about what happened to Eclair. And no, it will not be for a very long time if you're only listening to the audiobooks. Those of you who have read the books, please no spoilers for them, for the rest of them. Thank you. But yeah, who was in this chapter? I would like to thank Diane Spencer for playing Penelope. Penelope. That was a word I said. Ryan Author History Daddy Day for playing Thom. Azalandra Danstar for playing Ginny. Kat R for playing Eclair. Elizabeth Ruelas for playing Hipsy. And Ginny Kit for doing Eunice. I would also like to thank everybody that's subscribed over on Patreon. We're not keeping the lights on with that yet, but that still is beer money, so that's a good thing, right? Yeah, all right. Moving on. Not moving on. I'm just going to delete that. Go back and delete that. I'd also like to thank everybody who's following over on Patreon, where you get these as I get done with them over there, as to where here, you get them on the schedule, you get them on. And I think on Patreon, we're about a quarter of the way through book 4 over there, which is like 11 or 12-ish chapters. The 4th book's like 40 chapters long. It's big. But we're chugging along over there, just like we're chugging along over here. I'd also like to thank everybody who's getting a war chest, which I guess there's 2 of those. There's the first 6 books in one box, and then there's the second 6 books in a different box. Or there's all the books in a big crate. And there's like stickers and cards and patches and stuff. But speaking of the patches, we have been putting this patch in the war chest. But I've only got like 9 or 10 of these left. And I'm not going to remake these. I'm working on a completely different patch to put in the war chests after this runs up. So if you want this patch specifically, you got to get one of the next 9 war chests. Be part of that OG crew. All right, what do we do? Patreon. We did Patreon. We did war chests. All right. Let's find last week's comments for your videos if my computer wants to load them and my battery doesn't want to die. Those are 2 things that I need to happen for this to happen. List, you fucking asshole. God damn. All right. John says, just got my war chest. Great stuff. I read through the end of the book last night. I think I'll have to order the Mark II war chest in a couple weeks. John, I'm glad you're digging the story, and hey, now you got the other books in front of you right there to keep on reading. So I am glad that it came in one piece. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And yeah, no spoilers, but you know what's up. Thanks again. Also, Trip, reminder to self, put footage of putting his war chest together here. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna talk for a second and let this imagery run out, or fuck it, maybe I'm not. All right, you know what? We'll see what happens in the edit. All right, John, thank you again. I'm glad you're reading. Stay tuned, buddy. Murawski got done with the 3rd book on Audible, and I am beyond excited to see the next one again. Thank you for reading. I'm glad you're digging it. Also, if you don't want to wait for me to read these, besides Patreon, this book is just on Audible if you want to go use your Audible token on on me to see what happens with the rest of this book. All right, what's next? Bradley! Always glad to see the next installment. I ended up buying all the books hard copy after I found the channel a few months back from the cameo you did with Wartime Stories. Keep up the good work. I've already read all the books, but the audio really brings them to life. Edit, I didn't realize how short the chapter uncut was. Lympho. Yeah, the adult sexy time chapters, you can't put that on YouTube because YouTube will just delete your channel. That's what happened to the first YouTube channel I had about this, where I wasn't animating the videos, but it was kind of stop motiony, but it wasn't just one image the whole time. Like, there was an actual video to watch with the chapters. I got up until the first sex scene in the first book. So about 19-ish chapters into just one book. There was 19 fucking videos on that YouTube channel. I just got to 1,000 fucking subscribers, and YouTube just deleted the entire channel. No strikes or anything, just poof. Whole thing gone. So yeah, I'm not even risking that anymore. But if you want to hear the sexy time stuff, then go to Patreon. They're unedited there, and then they're obviously not edited in the actual audio book part of it. So that's a thing. But yeah, anyway, thank you for tuning in, Bradley. Glad you're enjoying it. And yeah, Luke Lamanna over at Wartime Stories, he played Lieutenant Toshi in this book and the one before. So you got that going for you. I also have a interview podcast live stream thing with him on this channel somewhere. Me and him went back a while back. Me, him, and Chuck Lavaki, the guy that plays Doc, were all on ship together in 2014, 15 timeframe. Hooray, Jokinawa! All right. What's next? Thom the Builder, Penelope, oh my god, Hank, it's really you. 3 hours later, Penelope, so what's new? Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I was going to go with that. Thanks, Thom. Doc Whiskey, win. Yes. John, tired of YouTube cock-blocking the plot, can't wait for my war chest. You already got your war chest, man. Shit. Oh man, I do not have enough caffeine in me for this. It's Tuesday morning. Fucking yeah. I got up, watched. Oh god, I looked right into the light. Dramatic lighting. Don't look at the lights. I'm watching Space Dandy on the treadmill. It's been fun. Jarhead. God, YouTube is literally the South Park of the movie Despicable. Horrible violence is okay as long as no one does the sexy time. Edit if you do cons. Bring the end of the War Prince, easily the best ones, and the long gun, trench guns, won the war. Yes, okay, so on that, I am working more towards figuring out what I need to do, go and do, shows. Show up, get a booth at conventions and all that. I'm planning on the first one in November because I want to get some stuff together for this. I've got I haven't bought a spot yet for it, but I have a physical table to take. I'm getting some art prints together for some things. Scenes from the book as well as, some other paintings and stuff, which when I get those in, I'll also make them available on the website if you want to get them. But then, also patches and more books and stuff. However, books are fucking expensive because I got to buy all this stuff myself, so which is why I'm putting the first one off until the one that's going to be back around here in November. That way that gives me some time, buy a little bit each month, to put it together, so I'm not just absolutely murdering the bank on that immediately. So hopefully I'll come up with a couple grand worth of disposable income to spend all that in the next couple of months. We'll see how it goes. If you want to help out, there's a link in the bio, and there's stuff there. They're paintings and shit. Those help if you get them. Or you get the war chest, that'll help out too. Or, you could just like these videos, leave a comment, tell your friends about the books. Email celebrities on my behalf. Get Alex Jones and Joe Rogan to read these books. Raise Lee Harvey Oswald from the dead. Play a little solitaire. Templar Gamer says first one here. Well, I'm not reading your comment first, but thanks for showing up, buddy. TQ's need. Gratuitous in all the right places. Yes, it is. All right, anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks again to, all the Patreon people who have gotten war chests. Your names should be over here somewhere. Or should have been over there somewhere. I hope I labeled the credits appropriately. All right, so stay tuned for next week. All right, here are your bloopers. All right, y'all have a good one. Bye.
We're already on fucking chapter 13. I'm recording this on March 17th, 2024. It feels like I was just starting chapter 1 of book 2 not too long. I guess we're moving along, man. All right. Fucking good for us. All right, here's the fucking story.
We're trying to get a little south of Lake Tahoe. That one's weird.
Alright, gonna break this down into like 4 or 5 sentences at a time. Here we fucking go. I hope you're having a great fucking time editing this trip.
This is Penelope, chapter 14.
It was a picture of the Fonz, De La Garza, Doc, and me standing in front of the Russian Rook before we infiltrated it. Infiltrated.
I got on a boat and came back to the States, forged my own identity. Yeah. Anyway, man, I just wanted to let you... Ugh.
Okay, I'm gonna do that section again. So it's from the top of chapter 14.
A few patrons sat at simple wooden tables. Tables, they said it, they're tables.
I'm pretty sure this is Hank's line, but I'm gonna record it anyway.
I couldn't say I was shocked by how much I was... I couldn't shay. I'm not shaying.
Continuing chapter 14, Penelope.
Chapter 14.
Drive west to the edit...
We probably need to get some gas too. Shit. Take two. We probably need to get some gas sometime soon too.
Sorry about the pauses. I'm just reading everybody else's script in my mind. Okay, next bit.
We probably need to get some gas sometime. Fuck.
There we go. That's the end of chapter 15. 14! Ah.